Welcome, everyone. I think you're really going to like this. And it's something that you really got to pay a lot of attention to. It's not something you learn overnight. But you get studying this, and you can literally have anything you want. Now, if you look here, I've been studying this for 60 years. I was 60 years, I started my 60th year last October. And I think, this is something you should study all the time. It's not just something you study once in a while. If you look at this for a moment, I think that Neville put it very well. He said, you're only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. I want you to think about that for a moment. Really give that some thought. You're only limited by weakness of attention. I have quoted Dr. Wernher von Braun on numerous occasions. When John Kennedy, when he was the President of the United States, asked the good doctor, the father of the space program, greatest scientist, what it would take to build a rocket that'll carry a person to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth. He answered him in 5 words. He said, the will to do it. Now, will is a mental faculty. You have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. These are all our higher faculties. This is what makes us who we actually are. This is what separates us from all the rest of the animal kingdom. And Neville's saying, you're only limited by weakness of attention. Wernher von Braun was telling President Kennedy, all you need is to give it your full attention, the will to do it. See, the will gives us the ability to concentrate. I don't know what you want, but I do know this. If you can think it, and you can let yourself get emotionally involved with it, and you stay focused on it, you can have it. Now that's a very basic concept, but it's not the easiest thing for most people to do. But the more you study it, the better you're going to get at it. But I love this. You're only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. You've got to activate your imagination. A lot of people just use their imagination for, gosh, I hope this doesn't happen, or I hope that doesn't happen. They're letting it go in the wrong direction. Our imagination is the most marvelous. He'll, in Think and Grow Rich, he'll say the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world's ever known. It'll create anything for you. It'll take you anywhere. Your imagination will take you anywhere, and it'll give you anything you want. That's a beautiful thing to know. Everything is energy. Now think. That's all there is to it. Everything is energy. Everything. Match the frequency of the reality you want. Yet you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Earl Nightingale said essentially the same thing in 1959. He brought out the strangest secret record. Right at the beginning of that recording, he talks about the good Dr. Albert Schweitzer being interviewed at an airport in London when he got off a plane. And they asked the good doctor, what was wrong with man today? He said he thought about it for a while. And then he said, man simply doesn't think. We do not think. You say, well, everybody thinks. No. Understand, mental activity does not constitute thinking. You have 5 senses. You can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. When any of those 5 senses are affected, it causes mental activity. That is not thinking. It causes pictures to fly in your mind. That is not thinking. If you heard a siren in the background right now, you might see a fire truck or an ambulance on the screen of your mind. That's not thinking. You have higher faculties. These higher faculties, most people know little about. Oh, they hear the word every now and then. You have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, intuition. These higher faculties are what literally separate us from all the rest of the animal kingdom. All the rest of the little animal kingdom, they're completely at home in their environment. They blend in. You and I are totally disoriented in our environment. We're totally disoriented. That is because we have been given the godlike ability to create our own environment.
When we say about 5% achieve success, we have to define success. And here's the best definition I've ever been able to find. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man is working toward a predetermined goal and knows where he's going, that man is a success. If he's not doing that, he's a failure. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Himself. And in this book he says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice. It is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity, people acting like everyone else without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it. In America right now, there are over 18 million people 65 years of age and older. And most of them are broke. They're dependent on someone else for life's necessities. Now, we learn to read by the time we're 7. We learn to make a living by the time we're 25. Usually by that time, we're not only making a living, we're supporting a family. And yet by the time we're 65, we haven't learned how to become financially independent in the richest land that has ever been known. Why? We conform. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95 who don't succeed. Now, why do these people conform? Well, they really don't know. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that happen to them, by exterior forces. They're outer-directed people. A survey was made one time that covered a lot of men, working men, and these men were asked, why do you work? Why do you get up in the morning? 19 out of 20 had no idea. If you ask them, they'll say, well, everyone goes to work in the morning, and that's the reason they do it, because everyone else is doing it. Now let's get back to our definition of success. Who succeeds? The only person who succeeds is the person who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal. He's the person who says, I'm going to become this, and then begins to work toward that goal. I'll tell you who the successful people are. A success is the school teacher who's teaching school because that's what he or she wants to do. The success is the woman who's a wife and mother because she wanted to become a wife and mother and is doing a good job of it. The success is the man who runs the corner gas station because that was his dream. That's what he wanted to do. The success is the successful salesman who wants to become a top-notch salesman and grow and build with his organization. A success is anyone who is doing deliberately a predetermined job because that's what he decided to do deliberately. But only 1 out of 20 does that. That's why today there isn't really any competition unless we make it for ourselves. Instead of competing, all we have to do is create. You know, for 20 years, I looked for the key which would determine what would happen to a human being. Was there a key I wanted to know which would make the future a promise that we could foretell to a large extent? Was there a key that would guarantee a person's becoming successful if he only knew about it and knew how to use it? Well, there is such a key, and I've found it. Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet seem to get everything? They seem to have the magic touch. You've heard them say that about someone. Everything he touches turns to gold. And have you ever noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who's a failure tends to continue to fail? Well, it's because of goals. Some of us have goals, some don't. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's that simple. Think of a ship leaving a harbor, and think of it with the complete voyage mapped out and planned. The captain and crew know exactly where it's going and how long it'll take. It has a definite goal. Now, 9,999 times out of 10,000, it will get to where it started out to get. Now let's take another ship, just like the first, only let's not put a crew on it or a captain at the helm. Let's give it no aiming point, no goal, no destination. We just start the engines and let it go. I think you'll agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink or wind up on some deserted beach, a derelict. It can't go anyplace because it has no destination and no guidance, and it's the same with a human being.
Our focus today is going to be on understanding the principle of self-manifestation. Write that down. Self-manifestation. People are not looking for you. They are looking for what you are carrying. And if you don't manifest what you are carrying, the world will ignore you. Because you exist doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Because you are on the planet doesn't mean that people are going to notice you. You can live an entire life and not be noticed by humanity. We can bury you in a cemetery and we would never know you were here except for that tombstone. And the reason is because most of the humans on earth live on earth but never manifest themselves. And so the most important goal in your life should be self-manifestation. I want to explain what I mean by that. A couple of principles to write down. What is the greatest human need? I'm going to give you 8 of them. And these needs motivate every human. The greatest human needs, 8 of them I will give you. 1, the sense of purpose. Every human needs to feel that they were born for a reason. Second human need that exists. Every human needs a sense of value. We all want to feel valuable. And we would do anything to achieve that. Sometimes stupid things. But we want to feel important. And that leads to number 3. Every human wants to feel the sense of significance. No one in this auditorium or the millions watching this program airing all over the world would deny that they want to feel significant. That's why people dress strange. Sometimes people cut their hair in weird ways. You wonder why. Some people dye their hair strange colors, and you wonder why would a person do that. The motivation is so deep, and it has to do with these needs. And these are not wants. These are needs. The 4th need of a human is the need to feel important. If you ignore a person, it's a deep hurt. I think all of you in this room have felt the power of being ignored. You are in a room and people walk past you. How do you feel? Someone who you know meet you but don't speak to you. How do you feel? That feeling is a human feeling. For everyone to be chosen except you for an assignment gives you a deep depression. Because you want to feel what? Important.
Listen, getting successful, whatever you consider successful, if it's rich, whatever, it's not a magic trick. It's not God picks certain people he'll make rich and certain people he don't. He gives all of us as his children the power of choice. You have a say-so in that. You can decide to be rich, and with God's help, it's highly doable. But you first have to think it. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is here. I'm no better than none of y'all. I'm not a better person than you. I'm not a better Christian than you. God don't love me more than you. None of that. If you want to be successful, you have to change this. This has to change. Listen to me. It's not what makes it hard is your lack of belief that it can happen for you. The fact of it is, though, it's very doable. See, but you got to change, though. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So if you're at a place in your life and you ain't happy with it, you have to change some things. But you have to make a conscientious decision that you're going to change. And it's not dependent on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think. It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter what your children think. It don't matter. They have nothing to do with it. This decision is yours and yours alone. It's 2 people born in a hospital every day. It's a person that's born in a hospital that's going to get a job, and somebody born in a hospital that's going to give them a job. You get to decide which one you're going to be. You get to decide. Let me tell you something. You get to decide if I'm going to be rich, poor, mediocre, plentiful, happy, sad. You have a decision to make. Your mind, all right, here we go. This is the teaching moment. Let me give you this so you can get on with your 2019. You walk in the house, you pick up the remote control. Let me teach you how this works. And you press the power button. When I told you 2019 will be the best year of your life, but you have to claim it. You have to expect it to be the best year of your life. You have to live your life with the expectation that great things are coming your way. And that's how it works. Now let me teach it to you. You grab your remote, you press the power button. What do you expect to happen? You expect the TV to come on. Guess what? It come on. If you want to see Sports Center channel 46, and you press 46 and OK or select, what do you expect to come on your TV? Sports Center. And guess what show up? Sports Center. They got the concept of creating a remote from the Bible. See, God is tied to all of this. You better understand what I'm trying to tell you now. The Bible says, a man is as he thinketh. God created us in his image. God thought of this world. He thought of it, so he created it. So he made you just like him, that your thoughts can create things. He made you just like him. Now you can't go make earth and heaven like he did, but you can make a better world for yourself.
Words paint pictures. Then the mind goes to work to complete the picture. Now, that's the reason the words you use, the language you use are so important, because of those pictures. For example, think of the picture that's painted in the mind of a child when the parent calls him stupid. Do you really think that makes them any smarter? Or does it have exactly the opposite effect? You're absolutely right. Bill Glass, good friend of mine. Bill is the former All-Pro end for the Cleveland Browns. And Bill does a lot of work in the prisons in America today. And he says that over 90% of the men and women who are incarcerated in our prisons today were repeatedly told by their parents, one of these days, you are going to end up in jail. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thousands of years ago, the Bible said, as ye sow, so also shall you reap. Then the computer people came along in modern times and made it 100% negative. Garbage in, garbage out. Well, our seminar is a positive one, and so what I want to say to you is the same truth, and that is if you put the good stuff in, you're going to get the good stuff out. To me, that's exciting. You are what you are and where you are because of what's gone into your mind. You can change what you are. You can change where you are by changing what goes into your mind. I will say some things a number of times today because repetition is the mother of learning and it is the father of action, making it the architect of accomplishment. I just love what Dr. Tony Campola of Eastern College in Pennsylvania says. Dr. Campola says, and I'm absolutely in agreement with him, Dr. Campola says over and over that your past is important because it has brought you to where you are. But as important as your past is, as it relates to your present, it is not nearly as important as the way you see your future. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the way you see your future determines your thinking today. Your thinking today determines your performance today, and your performance today determines your future. But hey, did you hear what else Dr. Campola said? Dr. Campola said, look, I understand about your past. I understand that you've had a bankruptcy. I understand that you've had a failed marriage. I understand that you've been chemically dependent. I understand that you were abused as a child. I understand all of those things. But let me say it over and over and over. That is in the past. And I want to say this a number of times. Failure is an event. It is not a person. Think of all of the times that Babe Ruth struck out. Think of all the incomplete passes that Roger Staubach threw. Think of all the sales that a super salesperson has missed, whether they live here in Salt Lake or Portland or Kansas City or Yazoo City. We've missed a lot of sales. So what? Failure is an event. It is not a person. In my own life, I was stone broke at age 45. My dad died when I was 5 years old. It was the heart of the Depression. I'd worked hard all of my life. I had been selling on the street since I was 8 years old. I was milking cows by the time I was 8 years old. We survived only because we had a mother with an enormous amount of faith and the capacity for a lot of hard work, an enormous amount of wisdom. I was milking those cows at age 8, and I know we got some city slickers watching this, so let me tell you something about cows. They don't give milk. I mean, you got to fight for every drop. Now, I don't know what you can do with that information, but that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to give you information, then you use it as you see fit. Let me tell you what my good friend John Maxwell from San Diego, California says. John Maxwell says, and again I believe he's right, that if there is hope in the future, there is power in the present. Everything I do as an individual and everything we do as a company is to give you hope in that future. But at the same time, I've got to be absolutely candid with you and say to you that if you expect to win, you've got to understand the second principle that I will be espousing repeatedly today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that life is tough. I don't know what your experience with it has been. I don't know what you've discovered as you've gone about in the game of life. But I want you to clearly understand that life is tough. I want you to hear it over and over that whether you're a student in school, a salesperson, a household executive, whether you're in the military, the government, or whatever you do, life is tough. But even more significantly, I want you to clearly understand that when you're tough on yourself, life is going to be infinitely easier on you. I just want you to understand that you got to be before you can do, and you got to do before you can have.
It's possible for you to live your dream. It's necessary that you associate with winners, that you work your system, that you are relentless, that you never give up. It's you. You've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to make it your personal business to make it happen. And you've got to resolve within yourself that I can do this, that it's hard, but you've got to say, I'm the one. I'm the one to make this happen. I'm the one to become successful in this business. As you work to help other people to become successful, that feeds your success. But you know it's going to be hard, but find out what will make it worth it for you. I told Mr. Washington I wanted to become a disc jockey. Someone asked me to tell this story. And he said, Les Brown, he said, if you want to do anything worthwhile in life, you've got to be hungry. And so I started working to develop myself. He said, I want you to practice every day being a disc jockey. I said, but I don't have any job now. He said, it doesn't matter. He said that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So every day I was working to develop myself. And that's what you must do. And as I was working to develop myself, I applied for a job as a disc jockey, WMBM on Miami Beach. I went to a guy named Milton Butterball. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? I'd like to get a job as a disc jockey. He looked at me, he said, you have any broadcast background? I said, no, sir, I don't. You have any journalism background? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, we don't have any jobs available. I said, yes, sir. I went back to Mr. Washington and I told him, he said, don't take it personally. He said, most people are so negative, they will have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, go back again. So I went back again. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? My name is Les Brown. He said, I know what your name is. What do you want? I said, I'd like to know whether or not you have any jobs as a disc jockey, sir. He said, didn't I just tell you yesterday we didn't have any jobs? I said, yes, sir, but I know whether or not somebody got laid off or somebody was fired, sir. He said, no one was laid off or fired. Now get on out of here. I came back the next day. Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you? He said, fine, what do you want now? I said, I'd like to know whether or not you got any jobs, sir. Didn't I tell you the last 2 days we didn't have any jobs? I said, yes, sir, but I don't know whether or not somebody got sick or somebody died, sir. He said, no one got sick or died. Now don't come back here and throw me out again. I came back the next day like I was seeing him for the first time. I said, hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you? He looked at me with rage. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. And I went to get him some coffee. After a while, I would get their lunch and dinner, and I would go in the control rooms and take the disc jockeys their food, and I would not leave until they would ask me to leave. Then they started trusting me to pick up entertainers that came to town. Entertainers like the Four Tops and the Temptations and Diana Ross and the Supremes. I would drive them all over Miami Beach in the disc jockeys' big long Cadillacs. I didn't have any driver's license, but I was driving like I had some. And one day, one Saturday afternoon, while I was at the radio station, a guy named Rock was drinking while he was on the air. I was the only one there, looking at him through the control room windows, walking back and forth, young, ready, and hungry. I was saying, drink, Rock, drink. Drink, Rock. I'd have gone to get him some more if he'd asked me to. Pretty soon the phone rang and it was the general manager. And I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, Les, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all turn up the radio and come out on the front porch. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, do you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get behind those controls. I put on an old Stevie Wonder record called Fingertips. I sat down behind that turntable. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only, young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. You got to be hungry. You got to be hungry. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make your dream become reality, the people that are running at their dreams know that it's possible that you can live your dream, that it's necessary, that you're relentless, that you have a plan of action, that you are creative. The people that are living their dream are finding winners to attach themselves to. The people that are living their dreams are the people that know that if it's going to happen, it's up to them. And they're resolving within themselves, it's not over until I win. The people that are running after their dream know they're going to have hard times. They keep on running because they're saying within themselves, I'm the one, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. The people that are running after their dreams are the people that are hungry. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got to be hungry. And as you run toward your dream, I want to dedicate this to you that I love very much. I want to thank Dexter and all of you. It's something that I'm known by. It's on our tapes called Choosing Your Future, and it says simply this, that if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish or gulf, sickness or pain or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. This is Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, Leslie Calvin Brown, saying it's been a plumb pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. Thank you.